Cancer, so there's a cure? Your doctor says you have cancer. What do you feel? Fear? Bewilderment? Anger? Resentment? Loss? Many, if not all of us, has had at least one personal encounter with cancer, having suffered from a form of it ourselves, having witnessed a loved one do the same, and in most cases, having lost a loved one to the disease. For most, it's a frightening and disheartening matter, as the diagnosis always comes with the same jargon: we don't know where it comes from or how and why it's caused. We don't have a cure yet. At best, we could recommend the following treatment plan, but with no guarantees. Quote, depressing to say the least. Discouraging for most. And in many cases, downright devastating. So, what if someone told you that there is a cure? That we've been sitting on it for generations, and that it grows in our backyards? And that the Food and Drug Association (FDA) and American Medical Association (AMA) will never disclose it to us, knowing it would kill their multi-trillion-dollar industry of related surgeries, treatments, and patented prescription drugs? As the medical journals of this country's indigenous, Native American tribes suggest, nature provides the answers to much of life's maladies, including many forms of cancer. Many, if not all, of these documents, however, have been confiscated, hidden, and/or destroyed in seizures initiated by the FDA and the AMA of medical pioneers' practices in prior generations, as formulas competing with their patented medicines have surfaced from these sources. As we know, the medical industry has flourished tremendously throughout the generations, profiting immensely on treatments of chronic illnesses, and those requiring lengthy and expensive treatment processes, including cancer. Okay, so how is all of this related? Let's start with simple economics, which teaches us that patented products is the path to prosperity, as the patent limits the right to reproduce and sell a product to its legal owners. Law has it that one cannot patent or control the value of any one item that occurs alone in nature. For example, you cannot patent a pine tree if you think it cures cancer, but you can patent a man-made compound consisting of elements from a pine tree that would cure cancer. Now, let's imagine that someone has come up with a compound that could effectively eliminate the disease without the need for invasive surgery, and chemotherapy, and radiation treatments which are destructive to the body, as they kill the good cells with the bad. That individual would be an international hero. They would end a generations-long epidemic. They would provide a halt to the existing, painful, and detrimental treatment processes for a disease that in most cases leads to a noticeable deterioration in a patient's health and ultimately death. No more watching our beloved family members suffer needlessly for months on a sick bed over something that could be cured with daily teaspoon-sized doses of herbs we can grow on our kitchen windowsills. Today's current treatment processes, while grueling and hard for most, including the administering doctors to witness, are extremely expensive, ranging from the tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars per patient depending on treatment type, length, and lengths of time considered with patient survival, remission, etc. As occurrences and types of cancer continue to grow within the communities worldwide, the cancer treatment industry subsequently grows and prospers, creating a society of wealth within an already wealthy medical industry. Makes sense while the industries make dollars, right? This is where finding a cure could halt the disease as fast as a common cold could pose a major conflict with an industry which sadly benefits from public ignorance, given that holistic medicine is not common knowledge in modern society nor promoted in conventional medical schools training. In the meantime, the FDA and AMA approves and sells man-made compounds that can be patented for food and medical industries. The AMA profits more on recurring, chronic and uncurable illnesses, as it maintains a rotation of a repeat customer base subscribing to their prescriptions and treatments, which often span over periods of several months for the average cancer patient. So on a good day where everyone works and pays medical insurance, there is a steady cash flow from the insurance companies and sometimes patients' pockets to the hospitals, doctors, pharmacies, drug manufacturers, etc. This provides a primary motive for the Food and Drug Administration and the American Medical Association, which work closely together to discredit, conspire against, and seize any individuals who promote or practice an actual cure that would entirely halt one of the most profitable diseases on the planet. This has been done historically with innovative, practicing medical professionals who dedicated their lives in generating and distributing a cure for cancer, most whose practices have started in the United States, to be banished to foreign countries, including Canada, Europe, and Mexico. Each individual had a mile-long list of patient testimonials and track records of proven success disease cures and extended or permanent patient remission periods that speak for themselves. In this article, I will mention a few medical founders and their products, which has maintained credibility and continue to be administered as alternative cancer treatments to this day. Several of these doctors, most in the U.S., have developed natural cures for cancer inspired by personal experience and by Native American medical journals, but have been fought for decades both legally and financially by American Medical Association and the Food and Drug Administration, looking out to protect their assets. Tragically for them, the media was used as a tool in battling these doctors and labeling them as quacks. As we all know, media in its earlier stages was highly controlled, one-sided, and could make or break anyone's reputation. Some of these medical heroes worth noting from more recent decades whose products deserve far more notoriety, research, and development than received over the years, are 1. Dr. Nurse Renee Kess (1888–1978) created Esiac, her last name spelled backwards, a cancer-fighting agent containing pine bark, rose hips fruit, and vitamin C, along with other natural herbs. Frustrated with the rigorous, unchanging cancer treatment regimens and dying culture of patients from these processes where she worked, Renee Kess quit her job as a hospital nurse and opened up a clinic where she was known as Canada's Cancer Nurse. Here, she researched, discovered, and developed a product derived from Native American medicine aimed to shrink tumors and kill cancer cells. She administered this product for 30 years to cancer patients coming to her as a last resort after being given a short prognosis by their conventional medical doctors. She refused pay, but accepted donations, and was charged only $1 a month for rent to the Bracebridge Town Council, who welcomed her warmly. Many people traveled upwards of 300 miles every day, rain, shine, snow, sleet to see her. There are some patients still alive in over 25 years remission as a result of her treatment, which in Kess's and most doctors' perspective qualifies as a cure. During her process in developing the medicine, Dr. Kess has struggled for decades against the scrutiny of the Canada's medical establishment for the right to administer her product as a medical professional, as she was up against systemic warfare with drawn-out administrative and legal battles to which she eventually succumbed and lost her license to administer and distribute from a professional desk. Kess died in 1977, but not before receiving formal accolades from a team of over 91 cancer survivors in 10 to 25 years of remission, some of whom are still alive today, all who accredit her and her product for their recovery of the disease and survival. 2. Dr. Harry Hoxsey (1901–1974) created the Hoxsey treatment line and practiced in Texas in the 1920s. Hoxsey was inspired by his great-grandfather, John Hoxsey, a horse breeder whose favorite stallion was afflicted with a cancerous growth. The afflicted horse drew Hoxsey's attention as he took to grazing every day in a remote area near his property where a particular type of wild grass and flowery plants grew until his cancerous growth necrotized. Knowing that animals often instinctively seek out in nature what their bodies crave in nutrients, he concluded that there was a cure in those ingredients. He subsequently created a formula from them to administer to and successfully cure other people's horses with the same affliction, and became well known in the region for it. His concoction started off with red clover, alfalfa, buckthorn, and prickly ash, and evolved with further exploration. He passed his formulas on to his son and grandson, who in turn practiced as surgical veterinarians. Harry's father got the notion that the cancer-curing formula proving to be so helpful to horses could equally be as helpful to humans, and he began quietly treating cancer patients under the careful watch of MDs, with Harry by his side as his apprentice since the tender age of 8. John Hoxsey's notoriety grew and drew large crowds of cancer patients, and he passed the formulas on to his son, Harry in 1919 as a deathbed legacy to continue administering the product as a doctor. Unfortunately, as Harry continued to explore and advance in his medicine and practice, and in spite of his own track record of success, documented cures, and detailed lab studies and medical reports, he was up against a lifetime battle exceeding 25 years with the FDA, the AMA, and the satire-hungry media who worked together in discrediting his medical findings and accomplishments, labeling him a quack, and forcing his practice out of the United States. His drug, Hoxi, is now available, respected, and administered to this day in Mexico, where he moved his practice before he died. 3. Dr. Ernest T. Krebs, Jr. (1911–1996) created a cancer treatment alternative known as Latril, which was known for containing baking soda as a primary ingredient. Dr. Krebs followed in the footsteps of his father, Dr. Ernest T. Krebs, Sr. (1876–1970). Both were raised and educated in the United States. Like his father, Krebs concocted many alternative remedies using natural resources that rivaled leading brands approved by the FDA and AMA, including his Latril formula for cancer treatment. As many pioneers before him, Dr. Krebs was discredited by the FDA and AMA, forbidden to practice administering his product in the United States, and took his product to Europe where he was allowed to practice and build a successful track record of patients with cures and remissions for several years before further administrative battles ensued. To date, his product outlived him and his battles, and is still served as an alternative cancer treatment, still with a growing track record of successful cures. It should be noted that Western medicine, as it is taught in the United States, is a Rockefeller creation, one of society's wealthiest families known more for their philanthropy than their appetite for financial control over several aspects of Western infrastructure, including the medical industries, which were heavily funded by them. Here, profit is priority. The Rockefellers own many large medical institutions and universities, where holistic medicine has not been traditionally taught over conventional medicine, which supports all of the ever-growing multi-trillion-dollar medical industries, and which supports prior theories that the FDA and AMA have vested interests in discrediting anyone that introduces a product that could lead to an end for one of its largest and most profitable segments. And naturally, most medical students just going with the flow in society, many of whom are there because their parents told them to be, are none the wiser, nor have much time during their rigorous study programs to explore much, like holistic medicine, outside of their curriculum, long less be prepared to address the topic as practitioners. For this reason, when we ask any conventional medical doctor about holistic treatment options for any illness, especially one as serious as cancer, we will at best receive a diplomatic response about there not being enough evidence on record that it would be as effective as the drugs and processes currently on the market. So again, your doctor says, you have cancer. What do you feel? This time, should we say, hope? A new sense of discernment maybe? Or possibly inspiration, with new knowledge that Mother Nature has likely provided us with everything we need to survive and heal ourselves. The writing is on the wall that there are viable alternatives in existence, so you'd at least have the option to travel for it, or bring it to light. Prayerfully, none of us would ever have to hear those words, but if we ever do, possibly we owe it to ourselves, our loved ones overtaken by the battle against the disease, and our brave pioneers to steer medicine into a different direction for the cause to keep our minds open, and keep hope alive for ourselves, our loved ones, and our future generations.